Milo picked up a brittle parchment covered in fine, spidery handwriting. It was a letter dated decades past, penned by Jean-Baptiste Duval himself. My madness grows with every passing day. The mirrors I craft no longer reflect the world, but imprison a part of my soul, a fractured self that claws to be free. I fear that in my obsession, I have unleashed a darkness that will outlive me. Yet I cannot stop, for to stop is to lose myself entirely. A shudder passed through Milo. The glassmaker had not merely created objects of beauty, but vessels of torment. His own psyche trapped and shattered across 1,000 reflections. And with it, the curse. The letter ended with a plea. If this reaches another soul, beware the fracture. The only hope lies in embracing the broken pieces and forging them anew. The chamber's silence pressed down like a weight. Milo felt the shards of his own fractured reflection stirring within him. Pain, fear, but also a strange, stubborn hope. He needed to understand this darkness, to confront not only the curse but the man who had wrought it. Milo's fingers trembled as he unfolded another fragile page, buried beneath the sketches and shattered glass. The words were hurried, almost frantic, revealing the glassmaker's slow descent into madness. The faces in the mirrors shift, they mock me, taunt me. I see my own flesh peeling away, bone cracking beneath, the eyes multiplying, watching me with cruel intent. I tried to shatter the cursed glass, but each shard became a prison for a fragment of my soul, twisted and broken beyond repair. Duval's handwriting grew erratic, scrawls crossing out entire sentences, as if his very mind was fracturing with the glass. Elise, my beloved, tried to save me, but the curse took her first. Her reflection now haunts the halls, broken and bleeding, whispering warnings I dare not heed. The curse is no mere enchantment. It is a living fracture, spreading like a sickness through every looking glass. Milo's heart ached for the glassmaker, trapped between love and despair, madness and creation. The weight of the curse pressed down heavier still, but with this knowledge came purpose. The chamber's shadows seemed to lean closer as Milo whispered, I will finish what you could not, Jean-Baptiste. I will face the fracture, and I will heal it. A sudden creak startled him. From the dark corner, a broken mirror quivered, the surface rippling like disturbed water. In its depths, a faint silhouette appeared, Elise's fractured face, her eyes filled with sorrow and warning. Beware the price, the reflection whispered, voice like shattered glass. Milo swallowed his fear. The path ahead was steep and perilous, but he was ready to walk it. Chapter 9. The Mirror's Heart. The chateau's corridors seemed to close in around Milo, the walls whispering secrets he was only beginning to understand. Each mirror he passed reflected not just his image, but flickers of the past. Ghostly silhouettes, shattered faces, and eyes that followed him with mournful accusation. Clutching the obsidian shard, Milo made his way to the glassmaker's sanctum, the heart of the curse. It was a chamber deep beneath the chateau, where the first mirror had been forged, and where the fracture had taken root. The air was thick with the scent of molten glass and something darker, an almost palpable presence that raised the hairs on Milo's neck. In the center of the room stood a colossal mirror, its surface cracked and webbed with fractures that pulsed like veins. Milo approached cautiously, feeling the weight of the shard in his hand like an anchor to reality. As he drew closer, the fractured surface shimmered, and a multitude of eyes blinked open within the glass. Faces emerged, Jean-Baptiste, Elise, and countless others twisted in agony, their mouths silent screams. The mirror breathed, as if alive. Milo raised the shard, reciting the incantation from the grimoire of shadows. The words spilled from his lips, weaving ancient power. By shattered glass and fractured soul, bind the darkness, make it whole. The mirror convulsed, and from its depths poured forth the shadowed form of Duval's fractured self. No longer human, but a writhing mass of broken flesh and glass shards, eyes scattered like stars in a broken sky. The room shook as the creature lunged, a scream of shattered souls filling the air. The creature lunged with unnatural speed, shards of glass protruding from its twisted flesh like cruel blades. Milo barely dodged, feeling a searing scratch as a shard grazed his arm, drawing a thin line of blood. The fractured monster's many eyes glowed with hate and sorrow, its ragged mouth splitting into several gaping maws that hissed and whispered curses in a voice that sounded like breaking glass. Milo steadied himself, gripping the obsidian shard like a lifeline. The power within it flared, a burning light in the suffocating darkness. He knew this battle was not just physical, but spiritual, a fight for his very soul. As the creature advanced again, Milo recited the incantation louder, voice trembling with exertion. Fragmented soul, bound in glass. Shattered past, reclaim your past. By fire's light and blood's own cost. Break the curse, redeem the lost. The shard in his hand blazed with brilliance, cutting through shadow like a beacon. The creature recoiled, shrieking as shards of its own form splintered and cracked. But it was relentless, its fractured form reforming endlessly, an endless cycle of breaking and reassembling. Milo felt the curse's poison seep into him, the whispering doubt, the gnawing fear that he was losing himself. With a desperate cry, Milo drove the obsidian shard into the heart of the mirror itself. The glass trembled violently, cracking and splintering outward in a wave of brilliant light and darkness entwined. The monstrous figure screamed, dissolving into shards of light and shadow that scattered like embers on the wind. Silence fell. Milo collapsed, the shard cool and still in his hand. The mirror was broken, but the fractured web of glass lingered faintly, pulsing softly beneath the surface. He had won, but the cost was written on his face. A reflection forever changed, a soul forever marked. Chapter 10. The Last Reflection. The first light of dawn crept through the narrow windows of the chateau, filtering weakly through the lingering mist that clung to the ancient stones like a shroud. Milo emerged from the depths, his body weary but his spirit strangely hollow, as if some vital part of him had been cleaved away and left behind in the shattered mirror's heart. He moved slowly through the silent halls, shadows no longer twisting at the edges of his vision, but the weight of the curse still settled deep within his bones. Every reflective surface he passed, polished brass, crystal goblets, even the pool of rainwater collecting by the doorway, held a fragmented glimpse of himself. And in those shards he saw the fracture, faint, jagged lines running beneath his skin, a subtle distortion that no one else could see. In the great hall, Father Laurent waited. His gaze was somber, yet tinged with relief. "You have faced the fracture," the priest said quietly, "and though the curse has been broken, it has left its mark. You are changed, Milo." Milo nodded. "I can feel it still, a shard within me, a remnant of that darkness." Father Laurent's eyes softened. "It is a burden you must carry, but also a reminder. The fracture is part of who you are now, but it does not define you." Milo stepped before a grand mirror framed with ornate gold filigree. His reflection shimmered, imperfect and jagged, but it was his, whole in its brokenness. He reached out, fingertips grazing the cool surface. The reflection did not twist or mock, but simply watched him back, eyes steady and human. Outside, the world was waking beneath a pale, fragile sun. The chateau's curse had been wounded, its darkness scattered, but its echoes would linger in glass and shadow, in fractured souls like Milo's. As he turned away from the mirror, a final whisper stirred on the breeze, almost a sigh. "We are all reflections, shattered or whole, bound by the fractures we carry." Milo stepped into the dawn, the fractured light of a new day illuminating his path. Epilogue: The Glasskeeper's Legacy. Months had passed since Milo's confrontation with the fractured curse beneath the chateau. The seasons shifted slowly in the French countryside. golden leaves giving way to the brittle frost of early winter. Yet within Milo, the fracture remained, an ever-present echo beneath his calm exterior. He had left the chateau behind, retreating to a small village on the edge of the forest, where mirrors were few and sunlight more abundant. Still, every polished surface held the faintest whisper of the darkness he had fought, a subtle distortion at the edges of his reflection, like a secret waiting to be uncovered. One evening, as twilight folded over the village, Milo sat alone by the fire, the obsidian shard resting on the table beside him. His fingers traced its jagged edges absently, memories of the cursed mirrors flooding back. Jean-Baptiste's madness, Elise's sorrowful face, and a fractured nightmare that had almost claimed him. A soft knock interrupted the quiet. At the door stood a young woman, eyes bright and curious, clutching a small, handheld mirror. "I was told you understand mirrors, their secrets," she said quietly. "I believe mine hides something dark." Milo met her gaze, the weight of his own journey reflected in her eyes. He nodded slowly, rising to meet the new challenge. "Then you've come to the right place," he said, voice steady but wary. "The fracture never truly fades. It only waits for the next soul brave enough to face it." Outside, the moon rose, silver and watchful, casting its fractured light over the world. And the legacy of the glassmaker lived on.